I'm using a different microphone for this one. Still not one I would consider good quality, and it does let in some background noise, but it's functional nevertheless. Anyways, this is a waffle block, or at least what I like to call a waffle block. You'd probably call it something more appropriate, like default grid block or 9 blocks in a block. Currently, there are 8 different waffle blocks available in the editor, not including their colorable or slope variations, and in this selection of blocks, this particular possibility, the two adjacent dots one, is nowhere to be found. Of the 3,014,656 variations of the waffle block, how is this omitted from the selection? Was it considered unimportant? Because if so, then I really don't see how it could be unimportant. Some of the official levels require this necessity to exist for a proper default aesthetic. But no, it wasn't considered and instead was replaced by these ugly looking combinations. I personally find it so off putting that I would prefer modern daily levels with over a million blocks of glow scattered everywhere than this absolute horror. This terrible amalgamation, this foundational error of a structure, it just ruins the overall aesthetic for me. And yeah, I know there are going to be some people that shake their heads at my complaints and say, oh, but it's just a minor detail. There's no need to stress over the small stuff. If you're that kind of person, I suggest you go to sleep with a few mosquitoes in the room. Just as the buzzing and the stinging of the vile and tiny pests, regardless of how small they may seem, are annoying and discomforting, the lack of this particular type of block in the editor results in a similar feeling. And it's not just this particular block as well. There are many other variations of the waffle block that are necessary but missing. I just chose this particular variation because it's the one I need the most and yet it doesn't exist. I'm forced to create it myself. It's like having a bunch of good music in your playlist and you're forced to make one composition that doesn't even really fit well. Just take a look at the current selection of all the variations that were added. This particular block was somehow considered and added. I don't even use that block. It is even more useless than having a speedometer and a coordinate system being implemented into the game. If you're one of those people who don't even bother with default blocks, then I might come across as an overreacting advocate for the two adjacent dot waffle blocks. But I'm sure other people have found this concerning as well. I know for a fact that there exist other players who find the current selection of waffle blocks inconvenient, unsatisfying, and questionable, and I am one of those players. There's an extremely tiny chance that this idea, nay, this revolutionary change, will even come into consideration in future updates. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna stand up and raise the gigantic flag with the phrase, "Give us the other blocks" written on it. Who knows, maybe it will one day be considered and people will marvel at how useful this particular idea turned out to be, and advocates of the same cause will cheer on about how their efforts to be heard were not in vain. I will always be one of those people making such a big fuss over such a minor inconvenience. Because to me, it is in no way a minor inconvenience, it is a huge one. It is so tremendously huge that I would argue this block, along with any other necessary variations, should be added before any of those newfangled triggers in the upcoming and long awaited 2.2 update. That's it. Goodbye.